All right, we are good to go. Hey, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of our Leverage Podcast. This is episode number 51. Looking forward to today's conversation. It is a passion of mine, and obviously, many of you know my background was in real estate. So, love jabbing and vibing on the real estate conversation. I also love having great combos with higher producing agents. It's just my jam. So, today, I want to introduce Megan Walters. And so, Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you make money.
Yep. So I started our real estate team back when I was 23, so almost 10
Wow,
years now.
cool.
And so yeah, we've grown. We're located in Columbia, Missouri, so pretty much middle of the map. And we've grown our team to one of the top producing teams in the mid-Missouri area. And yeah, we've got a whole investment department of the team and what we do there, and then education. And so a lot of different kind of spider webs of it all.
Yeah, that's what I always loved about real estate, right? Is there was just so many different ways. I mean, it could be too many ways. You could drown yourself out as visionaries
Mhm.
typically can do, right? But there's a lot of like one sell could generate multiple opportunities, right? I'm always a big believer in what can I do one time that I can get two or three, opportunities out of it, right? So, have you guys explored anything larger into like joint ventures or opened up a mortgage wing? I know you said investors is certainly an opportunity. So talk to me a little bit about how you've grown your business a little bit, and it's okay if you haven't. I'm just generally curious.
Yeah, so no, not necessarily into the title companies or into the mortgage. What we've done is more kind of like in-house. So I've like
Mhm.
started a brand called Como Mastermind, where it's an investor summit every
Oh,
single year.
cool.
So I guess yes and no. It just is a little different. It's not your kind of standard ones. And so we started that, and that plays into my husband and I flip houses, hold portfolio, stuff like that. And so it plays a lot into like what we're doing for ourselves. So we've got that, and then we also have a whole other section where it's education.
Hmm.
And we sell real estate courses. We get a lot of reach out of people wanting mentorship, and I'm not
Yeah.
there yet in my career. So instead, we started making real estate courses to essentially then kind of give to other agents to answer the questions that they normally always have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lots of questions always coming from that industry and that
Hmm.
field, especially based on the tenure, right? Or lack of tenure on the
Hmm.
agents and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
very admirable of you. What I would kind of say is, what do you guys focus on growing right now as a real estate company?
Yeah, I think right now, like we're definitely focused on growing our sales. As we're bringing on more agents, ensuring that we're keeping them fed, that we're keeping them
Yeah.
busy. That's definitely one side. And then on the marketing side, we've been working on focusing on those courses through YouTube. We have done talking heads for like 7 years. And so we've done all of this, but we never were like, we should monetize off of it. It was
Mhm.
just something that was like, hey, we're just putting this out. And now we're definitely striving to kind of grow that side to start monetizing after the investment in.
Yeah, I love that. As far as like your model, like what are you looking at any type of like expansion growth? Are you staying kind of homebound? I mean, naturally, usually that
Mhm.
course is kind of what Gary Keller says, the ink dot strategy, right? Your leads start to expand further out the city, right? And it's just kind of a slow
Mhm.
trickle effect further and further out, and you start to grow further and out, and then you're just like, dang, do I really want to drive an hour and a half for this deal, right? And well, oh shoot, we got five of them that are an hour and a half. We don't want to lose opportunities, so let's just put a sub office out there. Talk to me a little bit about the makeup of your structure today, and is that a vision of yours?
Yeah, so it was actually brought to my attention about, I think, 2 weeks ago. We had a group out in St. Louis, which is about 2 hours from here, and they asked if I would hire them and bring them on. And I was like, hadn't even thought of that. Just truthfully. Honestly, I shrunk it. The second I had a kid, I
Mm,
don't go further than about 20 minutes than my house.
yeah.
And that keeps us busy. And so it might be in the future. Today, I would say probably not on the expansion
Mhm.
outside of like like our area. But it definitely made put a thought into my head of, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Yeah, I think we had done that. I may have opened up talking to you a little bit. Like, we decided it. We were in Colorado, right? We were in northern Colorado. We stretched eventually all the way down to Colorado Springs. So, whatever, 90 mile path, something like that. But it was real easy because it was just kind of, it's not easy. I wouldn't say that's not geographically was easy to find bodies to put in seats, but it's typical agents, right? Finding the right agent, getting them the training, getting them to bite on the training and actually execute and have accountability. And, that was the harder part, honestly. It was
Mhm.
building the internal mechanism for training, for oversight, for accountability, right? Those things. So when you look at it as a rainmaker, I guess, I don't know if that's old terminology, but as the owner, right, of the business, what does that look like in the world of real estate agents on your team, right? Do you guys have key metrics? Do you guys like have accountability standards? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I used to, and I
Okay.
completely changed it.
Hmm.
Um, and this is still me learning, I think, about myself and how I work and what brings me joy and what stresses me out. So
Yeah.
we used to have a lot of those metrics, accountability, and it was me kind of following through, especially when I would pay for Zillow leads or whatever for the teammates.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I learned that I absolutely hate micromanaging. I hate checking in. It drained me. And I'm sure there's other ways about going about it, but I think what I learned about myself is like that part didn't bring me any joy. So we completely took out leads. It was a meeting with the team. I'm like, I'm going to take it all out. I'm going to hold you accountable to an extent, but if you don't sell, you don't pay your
You'll
mortgage,
you'll be out.
and
Yeah.
that's not on me because that's how I
Yeah.
have to pay my mortgage.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we ended up completely changing it to where now they make more money
Yeah.
because there's incentivized to bring their stuff in, and I
Hmm.
don't then have to micromanage them. And
Yeah.
that shift actually did really big. My goal is not to grow a mega big ass team.
Yeah.
I don't, more people, more problems.
Yeah.
And so I don't hire. I just kind of watch and I get to know people. And the second that I know that their heart and their morals align with everybody on the team, that's normally when I make the ask. And so the last gal we brought on, her name's Jillian. I've been watching her for like 3 years, which
Yeah.
sounds really creepy, but like I was. I've
Yeah.
been watching her production. I've been watching her character when she had deals with our team,
Hmm.
how she handled things. And then finally, actually, at our last Como Mastermind, I told her, I was like, hey, Jasmine, the girl that's been with me for 3 years now, we both agreed that if we need to hire and we want to extend that to you. And she was like, oh my God, yes. And so it was something like that versus me putting out like an interview session.
Hmm.
I'm very, very picky about who I bring on because once upon a time I wasn't picky and I learned
Hmm.
the repercussions of what that
Yeah.
looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at it from the perspective of, being this a tandem leverage podcast and getting to know you guys and your business and ladies is what is like it usually it's a who, right? The most if you go to enough coaching classes, the best question you can ask, right, is the who, right? Who's the missing person or who's the X?
Mhm.
It's not the why question or the what question, right? It's always going to end up with the best question is the who. So as you look to build your organization, how did you start that and kind of take us through that journey, right? Usually it's you as a single agent, right? Maybe a spouse is
Mhm.
helping you because that's cost effective, right? Things like that. And then generally it's like another agent, right? And then eventually it's an admin type. So take us through that journey a little bit as how did you decide when and how did you figure out who? And that could have been the position, the
Mhm.
person, so on and so forth.
It was the person back then, for my very first hire. So yes, it was me. At that point, I was doing about, I think, 80 units by myself.
Hmm.
And I had a lot more still coming in. And I was like, I need to probably bring somebody on. This new girl had started at the brokerage I was at back then, and she just had a good heart. And you could tell it just kind of radiated off of her. And so I ended up bringing her on. I learned a lot, had a lot of errors on my part on what
Sure.
probably I should and shouldn't have done. I ended up bringing her on. Now, looking back, knowing what I know today, is that what I would have still done? No, I would have actually hired the admin first. I would have hired
Uh,
my TC,
yeah.
allowed her to like really work alongside me so I can take on more units. And then at that point, probably brought on a buyer agent.
Yeah. Spot on. But I mean, one, it's
Yeah.
financial sense, right? Typically,
Hmm.
because then you're still pocketing the commissions, if you will, and then just paying out a
Hmm.
per check deal on a TC fee
Hmm.
or a salary, depending on the model you have. Yeah, no, I love that strategy, and that's kind of where like we did the same thing, right? Well, changed that out. I did hire an admin first, but it was my wife, right? So that was easy. It didn't cost me. Well, it cost
Yeah.
me, but not
Yeah.
monetarily.
Different.
Different switch costs. But yeah, that was great, and that's kind of what we did. But again, we were very in our world. I was kind of drowned in the KW learning, education, expansion, MREA model, right? All of that stuff, good, bad, or indifferent. It was really what I was my philosophy, right? And so I knew for myself to hire that admin first and then build from there. So worked out magically, worked out wonderfully. When you looked at kind of hiring, one of the pain points I see a lot of people hire, right, is they don't have a good criteria, or they don't. Maybe some people say I don't have a good picker, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, and a lot of times we hire based on need, hire based on emergency, hire based on burnout. We don't proactively hire, let's say. So then a lot of times we hire because of it's a knee-jerk reaction to a pain point, and it may not be the best hire. We're just filling a hole in the boat. So talk to me a little bit about your experience in how do you determine when to hire, and then what's that process look like as to who you hire?
So in the past, I've definitely hired on need. When I was like, I would do time audits and figure out how many hours I was working
Mhm.
on certain things where I'm like, okay, we need to carve that out, and that's a full-time job for somebody else. Um, but then it led me to hiring fast.
Yeah.
And that's where I definitely learned some lessons. And then it kind of turned into hiring what I saw as potential. So there was a person that was like killing it at a local jewelry store. She was doing incredible things there with her sales, and I was like, man, she'd probably make a great real estate agent. So I convinced her to get her license. um, I didn't sit down and have conversations and learn probably more than what I should have learned,
Yeah.
because it probably would have made me change my mind. And so there was definitely me kind of making impulse decisions based on maybe me seeing potential, but not knowing the full story. And then also pain points and too many hours and then carving it out for somebody else. So that's where I did it wrong. My first go around. And so then, yeah, like learned a lot. Thankful I did teach my friends now, but don't recommend those parts. And then so now what it looks like is like, I mean, it's really, it is. It's still hours worked. How many hours am I working, or what is a goal that we're trying to achieve?
Mhm.
Can I do it? Can somebody on the team do it? No. Okay, maybe we need it. But instead of at this point putting out feelers, it's just starting to watch people that do it. And I'm a lot slower at hiring, and probably because of now having my own
Yeah.
my own story there. But
Yeah, it's experience, right? Experience talks. And
yeah,
I see so many people on a lot of things, but especially leverage, they give up too easy, right? They just go like, oh, I hired my cousin just because she needed a job, and I didn't really look at it as a business decision, and it didn't work out. So I'm not hiring anybody anymore. I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah,
How about we learn from the mistake and get some
yeah.
mentoring
And
and try
then
again, right? Find
yeah,
out where
and
you failed.
that's where we are at. We are in the try again phase of
Yeah.
having learned our lessons.
Mhm.
And I mean it took 2 years
Yeah.
till for me to bring somebody else on. And Jillian, we just brought her on 2 months ago.
Nice.
And I can already tell it's much different than from what I was doing prior.
Yeah, we grow, right? And we don't get enough credit for it. We don't put enough credit into that. Like, is those pain points, it's like anything in life. We all know that, right? You got to fail forward, right? And that's kind of the
Hmm.
critical thing is don't give up, right? You learn so much from that because a lot of times business owners will come in and they'll be like, yeah, especially real estate, right? And I can say that because I'm there, but real estate agents are not notoriously great for documenting their processes, right? They just go do,
Hmm.
do, 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 right? And then it's all in their head. I'm like, well, that's not transferable, right? Nobody's going to come into your company and just go like, oh, I can read your mind, right? So I find that's a big gap. How are you guys, and what have you learned, right, as you've determined the importance of documenting? Because really, as you grow
Hmm.
agents and you bring people on, you better have something that's a duplicatable, repeatable process that they can just jump right in, right, and have a playbook.
Hmm.
So talk to me a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah, so we built, I started with a CRM day one of my career, and it is the same CRM I still use, but I have built workflows essentially within it. When I brought my TC on 2 years ago, she is just as fluent in it as I am. And so when we bring on new agents, really like my TC pretty much handles most of that
Yeah.
for them in the workflows. They just get plugged in and it's so much easier. So like prior before the TC, I was having to train people on the systems and on the flows, and it would take like a week or two at times to do so. But now that I've reversed it, put the TC in place, who is like I said, the more detail oriented version of myself, and she understands how the flows work and everything. She just does it for them to an extent, and it makes it so much easier to then replicate essentially the same process that I do.
Yeah, love that. That's kind of like when I had my business. I was like, gosh, I've spent so much time training agents, whether it was being a maps coach and flying around and whatever.
Hmm.
I was like on my own team. I was like, it's shame on me for this. This is like something that's not a great story. But I was like, I don't want to quote unquote handhold agents, right? And I'm like, well, then why are
Yeah.
you a team lead? Why are you a rainmaker? But I just didn't, right? I
Hmm.
was like 6 years in, doing a couple hundred units, whatever it was. I'm like, I don't want to handhold agents. So I had my TC,
Hmm.
right, become that trainer. And she did a great job because, I mean, very dialed in, very systemized, like all of that,
Hmm.
but wasn't great at obviously holding them accountable, nor should she have been at holding them accountable to their sales metrics and the scripts, right? And all of those types of, and again, this is pre AI, like 8 years
Hmm.
ago, 10 years ago, right? So there wasn't just a, hey, create me a script. You had to strip them from other playbooks or trainings that you went to. Uh, but anyways, yeah, eventually brought in a sales director and all this stuff, and it worked out better. But that was a lesson I learned was like, hey, stopgap needed to be me, honestly, because I should have been working in that lane because that's my highest dollar per hour was helping my sales team do more deals, right, and holding them accountable. So, um, what was a breakthrough that changed the trajectory of your business?
We started doing video marketing about 7 or 8 years ago. Kind of when it started coming out, especially at least on both of the coasts. And again, since we're middle of the map, it takes about 5 years for anything to kind of then come this way. So I was learning and mentoring underneath agents from New York at that time. And so I started replicating what they were doing. And at that
Yep.
point in time, the new thing was video. And so we started doing that here. And to everyone around here, it was very foreign. It was like, what is this? Like, is she trying to be on HGTV? Like, it came with some negatives, some
Yeah.
sass.
Yeah.
But from the consumer standpoint, which is the standpoint that frankly mattered, it was like, oh, ooh, and so at that point, that really started skyrocketing our listings and our marketing and being known for being the agent that went a different, like an extra mile for all of our listings and our marketing, which then really ended up skyrocketing our business.
Yeah, that's kudos because a lot of people like they shy away from, the judgment, the criticism. I mean,
Hmm.
anytime you try to do something that's, I wouldn't say unorthodox, but different, right, than what's going
Hmm.
on in your community. I mean, New York, I'm sure that was very normal, but like a Midwest America, right, might be like, is she trying to be the glamour queen or what was she trying to
Yeah.
do out here? And all kinds of like hate, I didn't say hate goes out, but a lot of just negative
Yeah.
publicity,
It
right? And just,
was, it
yeah,
was. I mean,
yeah,
and I was what? I mean, at that point I was 24.
yeah,
And so it was like this young girl's getting into real estate. She's putting herself on camera. But
yeah.
what's funny as hell now, they all ask me to train them on it. And like they're all doing it. It just took them exactly what I said, those 5 to 7 years to start implementing it. And they're like, oh, I understand. And I'm like, well, now I've done it for, yeah, 7 years straight. Like, I don't have to, people call me just to list their house. I don't interview, like, I don't have those pain points because I just did it long enough that it just kind of came.
Publicity is where it's at, right? I mean, you have to be
Yeah.
out in front of people, and you can do it one to many, which is through video and social media, or you can do it one to one, right? I prefer the one to many approach because it's just a lot
Hmm.
more effective.
Yep.
What gives you the most leverage today, right? Is it your software? Is it your systems? Is it people? What does that look like?
I would say like our leverage to be able to scale is definitely a mix, mostly like the CRM. The
Mhm.
TC on it is just kind of like a caffeine boost for it. But I mean, really, before I ended up hiring, I think where I ended up like after I kind of like got rid of everybody and restarted and kind of was like, I gotta figure something else out. I was doing about 150 units by myself, just
Yeah.
me and my system. And it was fine. I wasn't burnt out. I could probably have taken on more. But the second I brought the TC on, I mean, it instantly allowed for a lot more. So having our workflows and our CRM being set up the way that I've essentially like had it grow with me over all these years has
Yeah.
definitely been the biggest point of leverage for growth.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I think, like I say, a lot of times is um, that's the critical component is kind of exactly what you said. So the question that I have here is also, what are you doing? And someone's a little more direct at you, right? What are you
Hmm.
doing that is probably you shouldn't be spending your time on, right? Like I always try to take
Hmm.
people. I'll give you a minute to think on that with by elaborating on this. But a lot of times, what I think about, right, is if I took the $1 million and I divided it by, let's say, 2,000 hours of work, right? You insert whatever, how many hours you work, right? Let's just say that
Hmm.
math is you're worth $200 an hour, right? $500 an hour, right? You guys have all heard this formula before, right? And so I would ask that question, right? Is what task do you think you're doing that is probably below your hourly quote unquote wage?
Something as small as putting out signs,
Yeah. Yeah.
putting out real estate signs, home books in the houses.
Hmm.
Um, those two, because my TC, she lives really close here, but she's not in Columbia. She's 30 minutes away from here. So it
Okay.
doesn't make sense for her to make
Yeah.
those rounds when it's
Sure.
5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Um, but stuff like that, which it's literally this afternoon, I have a phone call with somebody to just be to do that. Because when we carry, I mean, we'll carry 15 listings, 20 listings at a time,
Right.
and having to check your signs, having to make sure that it ends up adding up into your hours, and I should not be doing that. So yeah, that's something that we're going to be hiring out, hopefully for somebody's teenage son to start doing for me next
Yeah,
week.
that's exactly right. Because if I just use the simple math, I was trying my calculator up earlier and I was kind of getting lost there. But that's it, right? Let's just say, right, your gross commissions as a business is $1 million, right? You divide
Mhm.
that by 2,000 hours for simple math, it's $500 an hour, and that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, guys,
Mhm.
ladies, like, would you pay me to go put a sign out for $500? Probably not, right? So then you have to flip that script of
Yep.
why am I doing that? So
Yep.
therefore, I use that metric, right, to be able to say, hey, if somebody's willing to go put a sign out for $50 a trip, don't look at it as like, dang, that's $50. That's expensive. It's like, no, $500 is expensive.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, what is a metric or number you all as a business pay that your closest attention to?
Mm, the team sales volume,
Mhm.
me, GCI.
Right.
Making sure that, because we do so much video marketing and we are heavy on that, making sure that we're not overspending on it. And so I watch that metric while the team, of course, we want to see higher volume.
Yep.
That's great. And I think that's like the team metric, but from the business owner standpoint, I'm watching both pretty closely to
Right.
ensure we're not overspending.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What trend are you kind of paying attention to right now in the industry?
Hmm. I don't know.
Do you think,
Uh,
yep, it could be AI, and because again, a lot of people are now starting to use AI to search for realtors.
mhm,
I don't think that's prominent yet,
mhm.
but I think that is something that's going to become there, right? It's like who's the best agent in Branson, Missouri, right? And things like that, right? I'm just generally curious
Yeah.
if you're like, obviously interest rates or something, right? We're always looking at that. There's always political decisions, a lot of things we don't control, but it's just curious to watch the trends.
We do like a monthly audit of AI, and so we'll ask AI like through not my computer, but through others' computers, like my marketing manager.
Hmm.
He'll clear it out so it doesn't seem like maybe it could be biased, and then he'll search. And so we do that with Google and AI to make sure that we're always in those lists.
Yep.
Um, but I we use AI to an extent, but I'm really privy on not using it full gung ho.
Yeah.
And honestly, because when ChatGPT came out, I started abusing it, and then when I went to go write an email, I felt
Yeah.
stupid. I was like sitting there going like words, and I'm like, no, like I've actually always been very like tactful with my communication, and then the
Yeah.
second that I felt like it was, yeah, so we use it for things that make sense and things that are like
Yeah.
quick. But we are also pretty mindful that we try not to abuse it.
Yeah, I think the population is shifting to authenticity, right? That's
Hmm.
really true. I mean, people are seeing what's AI, and I think there's a right place for AI. I don't mind somebody putting a cartoon character up there of me saying like, "Hey, I sell real estate." Like that doesn't bother me per se. But what I do like to do is basically, have um, just like authentic email from me, right? But where I find AI to be really powerful, honestly, is when you're building out large business models, right? Or future proofing your business, right? Or where can I grow? Where can I scale? Like using it as a mentor for you behind the scenes, not so much public
Hmm.
facing, but just being another brain for you, your husband,
Yeah.
your business, your leadership, those type of things. All
Yeah.
right. I want to move into kind of the lightning round. So I'm going to try to hit you here with an easy one, right? I'll start you off easy. None of them that hard, but I'll start you off easy. What is your best purchase under $1,000?
Oh my gosh. With real estate?
Anything. No, anything. Could be a recent trip you went on. It could be anything.
The first thing that comes to my mind is my stroller.
Yeah, perfect. There's no wrong
Um,
answer, my friend. Love it.
it was a Duna stroller, and it
Okay.
like literally like the wheels pop out with a button. And
Heck
so when
yeah.
I had to take my baby everywhere, it was the most convenient thing. And I think it was like $700. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's beauty.
first thing.
There's no
Yeah.
wrong answer here. Favorite AI tool?
Um, I do go between Claude and Chat.
Mhm.
Claude helps me kind of with like the real estate courses and then like outlining and putting my notes in there, while ChatGPT seems to be a little bit more creative.
Mhm.
If I'm just kind of looking for creative inspiration. But right now I probably still would say Claude. I really hate how ChatGPT talks. It's like, oh, I've never thought of that. I'm like, fuck off. I've never thought of anything. Like, just stop saying that. Like, it's probably a setting I could edit, but I just haven't done it and it bothers me.
That's perfect. I
So,
love that too. It's like
yeah.
that's a great idea,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I know. Well, thank you for boosting my
Yeah.
ego because I think it's a pretty good idea too. However, I'm
Yeah.
looking for you to be my devil's advocate.
Yeah.
uh, if I were to open your phone and see which app you use the most on the time screen, what would that look like? What app would that be?
Either my probably Instagram. If it wasn't like my email or text
Yep.
messages for work, my first like app would probably be Instagram.
All right. Most impactful habit that you have.
I religiously wake up at like 4:30 every single day.
Yeah. Well, that I
Yeah.
get a lot of our top business owners on here. That's a big thing for them. What's the biggest business mistake you've made?
Hiring wrong or hiring fast.
Okay.
I should say
Yeah.
hiring for the pain point versus actually like paying more attention to the person that I was
Mhm.
putting in a position.
What is one thing that you would automate immediately if you could? And it could be business or personal life. That's not a just think big.
I really wish that I could automate my seller updates a little bit
Mhm.
easier. I've done templates, I've done things like that, but it still will always make it to where I have to go through the system in the database and input it over. And then,
Yep.
sure, it will shoot it out to me. But it's still, when you run so many listings, that's still a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I wish that there was a better integration between everywhere where I viewpoint, essentially like key performance indicators
Yep.
to that, to then automate an email every single week to sellers.
Yeah, I love that, and I think a lot of that is where I think AI and the ability of AI is going to help a lot of those integrations, a
Mhm.
lot of those automations. And I'm by no means a czar at AI. I have people in my business that are czars at AI, but
Mhm.
that's going to be a lot of leverage capacity for sure, right? There's just so many
Mhm.
between Claude Cowork and Lovable and some different products like that. It is already kind of game changing a lot of things. So very interesting stuff going on. Megan, one last question for you. Pretty simple one is if I had you write a dictionary, an encyclopedia, and it was your encyclopedia or dictionary, Megan Walters, how would you define leverage as you see it?
Just say it's finding how you work because we all work differently
Mhm.
and what can help like that one person. So like for me, like leverage is like it's in the systems. And
Yeah.
then after the systems, it's the people that you put into the system that you had built. And so like for me, that's what it is. But I know for others, it's people first before systems.
Yeah.
So for me, the leverage is creating a replicable system that I can
Mhm.
plug other people in to then continue to scale it.
Yeah, I think that's a very intelligent thing because that's kind of what I look at, right? As I look at one, I want to lead with revenue. I don't necessarily want to go into negative dollars to go hire out these things. So once I build a revenue, then I want to go either hire somebody or build the system. I'm a little on the other side of the scope. I want to really build out the systems, document the systems. Now I may third party out somebody who's going to document it all for me so I don't have to, like a virtual assistant or just a third party contract just to get it all on paper. And then, yeah, and for me, then I hire the people to then test the system, right? Or make sure that it's not just a mic works, that it works for everybody,
Mhm.
right? Type thing. So, all right. Well, Megan, thanks so much for being on today's show with us. Our audience is going to get a lot of value out of this. However, I would love to be able to kind of market your business. So tell our audience a little bit about what areas you cover, what they could bring you if there's opportunities, like how can you work, how can they work with you, right? And under what circumstances, and how they get a hold of you.
Yeah, so guess kind of three different ways, just depending like what way ends up hitting you the most. But the first
Yeah.
one is obviously, yeah, we help people buy, sell, and invest in Central Missouri. So Columbia, Missouri, middle of the map, and then probably draw a 30-minute radius around it. That is our territory. Through the education, I mean, if people are looking for essentially a blueprint, I think it's called Seven Figure Agent. So it's a whole
Mhm.
blueprint of how I went from start to where I am today. They can definitely check out our community on school and then kind of join the conversation. It's a free community where people talk and kind of bounce ideas off each other, but
Yeah.
then also have the courses in there. And then our last one is through the investments. I mean, if real estate investment is something on somebody's heart, we host, like I said, a yearly conference for that, and we're also always looking for speakers
Yeah.
that want to definitely share their story. So you can find me on Instagram at Megan Walters. Pretty simple. Message me there. Like I said, yep, it's the app I'm on the most. So I'm always checking my messages. So love to connect.
All right, I love that. And as you all know, as an audience, you know, that is what I do and why I do this. I love being a connector. I love being a guy that can say, I trust these people that I have relationships with, business relationships. Therefore, you need to reach out to them. So reach out to me if you don't have her information or you didn't get it from the show. You know, I always have it. Sometimes people call me 6 months, 12 months, 1 week after the show runs. So reach out to me anytime. I have all that for you. And other than that, yeah, I love maybe to keep me posted on that investor seminar if I happen to be in the
Yeah,
area and I'm invited. I'd love to come
yeah.
in. So
No, we'll do.
cool. All right. Well, thanks, Megan. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
As far as our guests go, hey, don't forget to hit the bell, like us, and then put a comment in there for us, and we'll always respond back and connect you if you have any questions of Megan. So everybody, thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.